Hi, everyone. Oh, hi. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, Dee.
Hi, Jenny. How was your weekend?
It was great. It was great. Yes. Good to see you. Thanks for joining me here today.
No
Hi, everyone
problem.
out there. It's so good to be here and to be live with all of you. Such an honor to be sharing my story today and a little bit about what I do in my work. I'm excited to be here. Oh, Johanna, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, so wonderful to see some familiar faces. So with that, we'll get going. Welcome, everyone. I'm hailing from the East Coast of the United States, so wherever you are in the world, I greet you. Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be doing a workshop. Yes? Someone, oh, there's a little bit of an echo, so I was just getting used to that. We're going to be doing Healing Together, a story around raising children through grief and healing yourself to be able to care for others. This has been my journey of grief, and I look forward to sharing it with you. And hopefully you'll be able to leave today with a few more tools that in your toolkit for being able to walk your own personal journey of grief and feeling support, more support, and well-being in your body. So with that, we're going to start my workshop today with a little bit of a deep breathing exercise. So I invite everyone, wherever you are, if you're not driving at least, to bring your palms to your heart. You can leave your eyes open, or you may close your eyes. That's also fine. We're just going to take a couple deep breaths in. At your own pace, just arrive with me today. Just be with me here and now. Just a way for us to greet each other and come into the space. My workshop is, a lot of it is about really being present in our bodies and our minds. And so I want you to be able to really fully be here with me today if you're listening. So with that, Nathan, if you could share my slides for me. I don't know how I found those. Great. There we go. Okay. So Healing Together, Raising Children Through Trauma and Grief with me, Jenny Baltazar. I'm a coach, a speaker, and a writer. So let's see, how do I just want to get us to the next one. Let me see if I can do that.
Right where it says slides down below.
Yeah.
And it'll let you move forward. And where you see the settings, share, it should have your PowerPoint next to it, and then it allows you to move forward.
It does not want me to do that. Let me see.
Flop.
Oh, wait. Maybe this is it. Okay. Think. Oh, no.
It should have a little arrow. So you click on the arrow like it's play.
Yeah. Thank you for trying to help me. Excuse me, everyone. There's
Okay, we're all learning. This is
little technical difficulty here. So I see my slides.
right there.
Yeah, and
You
then
see your slides below? Then it should have an arrow, a little white arrow, and it lets you move forward.
Yeah, I'm not seeing an arrow there.
It's right on top of your slideshow. That's down below where the settings are.
Okay, so I'm not sure. I'm not seeing them. So with that, that's okay.
I'll come to you.
I don't know if someone else can maybe take control. Can you take control? Someone else take control of the slides for me, or is I can just do it without? That's also okay. So I can see. Oh, perfect. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So an overview of what we'll talk about today. So my own personal grief journey and the transformation of grief that I have gone through and am still going through. A little bit about specifically sudden and unexpected loss and some of the symptoms and things that come up with that. Healing together as a family. So some of the things that we can do as families, as groups of people together, healing together. We have our own individual, personal, very personal, unique travel with grief. But I have a strong belief that it's also important for us to heal together and feeling connected to others in our life, whether it's we're raising children or we're in a household with other individuals that we care for and we're with. So that's a big part of it for me. Caring for yourself and your family, some more ways to do that. I'm offering a guided meditation for grief. So we'll go through that together. And then some ways to support you in your own creating your own grief journey and what that can look like for you as moving forward. And then what it looks like if you were to work with me, whether it be for coaching or to come to some more workshops in the future. I would love to have you join me for some of those things. Okay. So in the next slide, please. Yeah, it's really I'm not sure how to do it. Okay. So can someone change it to the next slide for me? Appreciate that.
Whatever you did last time worked, Jenny.
Oh, it did. Okay. That's strange. Okay. Maybe I did it here. That works. Okay. So my transformational grief journey with my children. So for me, my experience of loss was through losing my husband. I lost him very suddenly. And this was a traumatic experience. Something, anytime you lose someone without warning and it comes on suddenly, you have this experience of trauma in your body. You feel it in your body, you feel it in your mind, your whole sense of being kind of gets overwhelmed. So that's the trauma kind of like filters through you. So I had this combination of this trauma response in my body and in my children. Of course, each of us had our own individual reactions to losing him. And as I talk about this today, it's important to consider that, again, all of us have our own unique path with it. So I had my own, my children had their own. And we're, alongside each other, but are still traveling on our own paths. So there was a combined sudden feeling of loss along with this trauma. So we lost him. We felt, oh my goodness, everything, all kinds of things, of course, right? But in the beginning, you're of this kind of loss. You're really feeling the sense of feeling shut down because it's just too much to even feel. Your body protects you in that way. So I describe it as feeling kind of numb and stepping out of feeling like I just couldn't participate in anything. It was just, I needed to kind of just take a break. And it forced me to slow down in a way that I've never experienced before. And learning to receive. So I have been in my life someone who has always worked in service and done a lot of giving, supportive work for others. And I learned so much through my journey of grief about being able to receive. And the power of that, really, the power of being open to allowing people to care for you and allowing people to consider not necessarily what you need, but to help you create space so that you can figure that out. So I was able to be with my children and receive, and I was blessed with a beautiful community of support and family and friends. And I think even more so than I realized, because I was so open to receiving what was available to me at this difficult time. So I became very present with my girls. I have 3 girls, and we, kind of were forced into this pause, of like, we need to take a break from everything and start to figure life out again. It felt like everything was lost and we need to figure out a way to rebuild. Of course, in the beginning, there weren't any of those thoughts, but in retrospect, I'm reminding myself of that now. So being very present together and spending, quite a bit of time. And I was very aware at that point that making the choice to be together and giving ourselves the space to grieve was important. There was something in my intuition that spoke to, I couldn't just jump back into life. I couldn't just push through this. It wasn't anything I was going to get through. I was going to be a very different person from the person I was before I lost my husband. And so it was an opportunity, let's say, for me to grow with them and to be able to learn how to make choices that really help us move forward together. And I think that's really important in grief, is to be able to be present with what really feels like the best thing for you, right? So sometimes that was really hard because there were all kinds of feelings coming up, and to be present with yourself means accepting the good, the bad, the ugly, all of the things, or not, and feeling really awful. Especially when there's sudden loss and there's so much shame and guilt around what has happened, and trying to reconcile all of that felt kind of impossible at times. So finding compassion for yourself in grief, especially in the loss of someone through suicide, and being able to not only have compassion for yourself, but the others in your life who are trying to do the best they can. So meditation was a big part of that for me. And that's why I wanted to be able to share that with you here today. Honoring the grief and the joy. So this is something that I learned, so important, because we go through so much pain, so much disappointment, so much feelings of, everything has changed. And you can feel stuck in the grief. I know Dee says you can feel like you're stuck in a hole, right? And you can't get out. And that's a very real feeling. But then there are moments where you also start to realize that you're alive, you're still alive. And with children, for me, the reminder of that I need to keep moving with them, right? That I need to be present with them in the day to day in some way. I could bury myself away in a room somewhere and not participate in life, but it felt like it was really important for them to see me continuing on with things and experiencing, finding joy, finding ways to honor the joy that is still exists and our connections with others and ourselves within our family. So I always say, give yourself time to honor the space for grief, when needed, as often as needed. Most of the time, it's more than we allow in our community, in our culture, in our world to grieve, because we often want to get back to it. So typically, trust your intuition, trust your gut on that. If it means taking the time to just be by yourself, or if it means like you want to honor the grief by doing something else, then go for that. But if you want to be out laughing at a silly movie or dancing with your family, let yourself do that as well. It's all okay. And the mind needs that. It needs those breaks, the sadness, the anger, to be able to fluctuate between those emotions. That's really how we build resilience in our life. Learning to ride the waves. So you may have heard learning like the waves of grief, because it really truly is this wave of emotion that kind of comes forth in us and without warning. So we see that happening and then it just kind of takes over. And when it's in the beginning, it just keeps coming and coming, and it feels almost like you're at the peak of it and you can't get over it. You're just kind of hovering, right? You're sitting there, you're waiting to crash and you're waiting for it to let go of you. It just kind of holds you in its grip. So learning to ride those waves and knowing that they're coming, almost like experiencing it as an opportunity to learn something more about what's happening for you, rather than pushing it away and trying to escape the wave, which only kind of comes back later as something much more intense and more difficult. So really just be there for the lessons. There's so much to be learned through all of that. Okay. So a bit about sudden and unexpected loss, or any grief, actually, I've added, because this can be true for any of these things, any grief experience. Possible effects on the body and the mind. So my study has always been on the connection between the body and the mental, emotional component of the body, and also our soul body, right? So there's these different layers within us, and it's all connected, it's all intertwined. So things that we're experiencing, stress and grief and frustration and worry, affect our body and vice versa. So these are some examples of ways that this body-mind connection kind of will show up in grief. So body tension and pain. So you can have body tension and pain, and then from intense stress, like just feeling stressed out. That grief can make you feel stressed out in your head and your back, and things just generally can hurt, physically and emotionally. Sometimes I would say I had like such deep heartache, my heart felt like it hurt inside. Then it was, an emotional pain that I felt, but it kind of ran through my body. Lowers your immunity, certainly, to be under such stress, right? So you're more vulnerable to get physically, not feeling well or ill. Digestive issues, things where it's difficult. So if you're not able to relax, it's really hard to digest your food. And I recall when I was, as I'm sure other people experience, kind of needing to remind yourself to eat and to take care of your body, because you're so deep in this well that there's almost like this lack of concern about, you're not in this regular mode, right, of eating and sleeping, and sleep, forget about it. For me, that was a very difficult part. And I know a lot of people struggle with this as well. holding your breath, right? So holding your breath. Even as I talk about grief and this sudden loss, it's, I feel it. I feel it in my lungs. I feel it across my chest. And so reminding ourselves to breathe, and meditation brings us back to that as well. Chest tightness and anxiety. We're going to talk about all these difficult things, and then we'll get to the good healing stuff. Heart issues, brain fogginess, and just feeling shut down, somewhat depressed, having poor sleep, I mentioned. And this just wide range of emotions, which is something that we can embrace, right? It's difficult. And if we're not feeling people, then to have all of these emotions running through us it can be really overwhelming and difficult. But it's also an opportunity for us to get more acquainted with our emotions, and to allow ourselves not only these difficult ones I mentioned here, but also the good ones, remembering that you still have laughter, you still have connection, you still have love in your life, and searching for those, really gathering those positive moments of emotion as well. Okay. So these are some of the steps that to me are my approach to healing together and finding new beginnings. So I mentioned one of them earlier, some of this as well, repeating a little bit, but the power of the pause. So really arriving and being in the moment can really help with the physical and emotional pain. So both being together and having conscious relationships with the people in your life, the people who are caring for you, the people who are engaged with you, spending the time and really trying to be in that moment. And then also for just being by yourself and acknowledging your own need for being alone, and not needing to do anything or be anything for anyone else. This is a very powerful tool for moving through grief. Giving permission for feelings and emotions. So I describe this as our emotional empowerment. As we start to allow ourselves to have all the feelings, we can begin to identify them. We can create a language around them. And with children, when we have children in our environment who are teaching and they're part of this experience with us, what a wonderful opportunity for them to really learn how to manage their own emotions, right? So I remember being at an event and my grief was welling up inside of me. I could feel it, my chest, my throat, everything. And just like as you start to cry, and it just kind of like evokes this feeling in your body. And for a moment, I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this right now. I don't want to do this right now. And that's okay. If you don't want to, if I wasn't like wanting to express that. But at that time, my youngest, she was only 2. She was watching me and like we were doing something. And I just thought to myself, but why not? Because this is how I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling this, this space of missing my husband. And I wanted my littlest to, in that moment be with me and to be able to observe that I have sadness and to be able to name that for her. And just today I had a similar experience. I'm at a softball field and I'm, had a reflection of something, and it brought me to tears. And my littlest says to me, now she's 5, but she says that, Mama, are you sad because of Daddy? She just knows that those are natural emotions that we have when we miss people and they're not with us. And we have this gap in our heart. So with all of the sadness is a big one to be able to express, and such a big thing that she's able to see that both in me, and then if she feels that and she can say, I feel sad, the other one, I don't I don't think she ever said, I don't feel safe, but there've been times where she's been worried or acted like she does feel scared. You know, she used to have really bad dreams. And so I would go in with her and to speak to her, and I would say, you are safe, you know, everything's safe. Mommy is here with you. I'm not going anywhere. You are safe, you know. And we must have said that 100 times, you know, those of us who were in the house with her, just over and over and over, to kind of like imprint on her that this feeling of safety that she needs to kind of rekindle inside of her. So transformation of difficult emotions, right? So moving through, I'm sure you've heard, if you've been listening to this conference, there's been lots of talk about this. So, you know, moving our anger and our disappointment and our feelings of hopelessness, whatever it might be, to transform that, and through compassion, through patience with ourselves, to some self-love, right? To really move into this feeling of love and permission to give ourselves the opportunity to just be, like forgiveness, you know, giving ourselves some forgiveness for whatever we're feeling, so that that feeling can transform into something really more powerful than feeling helpless and abandoned or upset, you know. So this opportunity that is there within that for self-love, for forgiveness, and then arriving at a place where we can arrive in this place of embodying a new life. It allows us to move through the waves and to be more resilient. So I mentioned this, creating a language to our mental, emotional, grief health. I like to put all of those together because they're all important. And so often we leave grief out of the mental, emotional picture. At least we don't name it. So I like to name that for us. For our physical health in the United States anyway is definitely elevated, you know, of importance, and our consciousness about our physical health is very high. So my goal, my vision is to really elevate the consciousness of mental, emotional, grief health. I think it's one of the key things that can make us a healthier planet. Mind, body, soul connection. So this is also like the juice, right? So if you can begin to understand and make some choices around giving yourself the freedom, just really giving yourself permission to just be in your grief in the way that it feels, and receiving from others, getting the support you need, building a language around it so you can talk about it and educate, you know, your children, certainly if they're in your home, without feeling pressured to do so, of course. But if it feels like a natural, you know, opportunity for you, it becomes easier. And it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. You know, maybe you don't know how you feel. But I can guarantee that if you're going through an experience like this with your kids, they're going to have feelings when you don't, you know, so they're going to feel joy and you're going to be like, I am not in that right now. Or I am feeling exhausted, and they are just like, you know, there's so much going on for them. They're not sleeping. There's all the things that are coming up, bubbling up, and you might feel very overwhelmed by that. So they're going to start to name things, and that's going to help them to be able to walk their own journey much easier, much more in a peaceful way. I know that it's been beneficial to us. So movement. So these are things that you can do that I have found to be tried and true helpers: movement, embodiment, and creativity. So movement is actually part of embodiment. So anytime that we're kind of bringing in our body to an experience and really feeling it in our body. And movement is a big one to me. I've been a dancer my whole life, and it has benefited me at different points in my life for a variety of reasons and things that I've gone through. And healing's a big part of that for me. So really bringing in, it doesn't need to be fancy movement. You know, it can be a dance party in your living room. It can be, you know, playing music at breakfast and talking to each other, and the kids, you know, moving their bodies and you're moving your body with them, like creating space for it's all okay. Because the grief is like the emotions speaking to us, right? And they're sitting in our body. And when we move our body and we feel embodied in that way, we're able to kind of release some of it. We're able to let go of some of it. And anger, I go back to anger. It was always so hard for me. It still is not so easy, but I think I've gotten better at it. And so feelings of anger, I know what to do with it now. It's like, I know I need to move. I need to get on the treadmill. I need to go for a hike. I need to turn on some loud music and just move in my space. And that helps to kind of get that feeling going through my body. So we're not getting through the grief necessarily. We're getting through the emotion, and we're experiencing it in what the body needs to do to express it. Rather than kind of pushing it down and forgetting it's there. And creativity. So an opportunity for us, we're all creative beings, to really allow ourselves to be creative. So whether that's with writing, dancing, again, is a wonderful one. Maybe you love to do some kind of art. Maybe it's creating a garden, maybe it's raising children. Maybe it's being with your loved ones and you love to prepare a meal for them. Just the act of creating something can be super healing for our body, mind, and our soul connection. So 5 ways movement can help with grief. So just because I love movement so much, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So movement can be a way of distracting us. So it doesn't have to be super active movement. It can be walking your dog. It can be do stretching or gentle yoga poses. It can be hardcore yoga if that's what you love, I mentioned this, a walk in the woods. So movement just kind of like we're getting into our bodies again, embodying the expression of ourselves and moving through. Movement is one of the key things that we need our entire life, even if it's small movements. It feels good, right? So we have emotional and physical pain when we go through grief. Movement and exercise release these neurotransmitters in our brain that actually lessen that pain for us. They make us feel better. They do. So anything that you can find that you enjoy doing, just a little bit of movement a day, of course, outside in fresh air, if it's possible, that is a great way to really just let some of that pain go and give yourself a break from what you're experiencing. Sleep. So I found this is another big one for me, is like being able to move my body in space. And as I started to get more active, I started to sleep better. It's just natural that if you're more active during the day, your body can naturally, allow itself to rest a little bit better. An outlet for anger, I mentioned that. And returning to the present moment. So mindful movement, like bringing breath into our movements. So we're actually thinking about just being here now, just breathing, just focusing on our breath. It could be washing the dishes, if you enjoy that, that's okay. And that feels like it can feel like a meditation, the repetition that comes along with something like that. And you can really just kind of breathe through that. I used to describe to moms, I used to work with a lot of moms, and when they're feeding their baby, and that moment when you're sitting and you're resting and you're being with your child, giving yourself that is also a mindful moment for you. You're providing them with nutrition and you're nourishing them, but give yourself a chance to breathe while you're doing that as well. Just give yourself that time and recognize that you can sit and just be with them. And as they get older, certainly creating space to be more conscious with them through whatever it is that you're doing, being more present. Benefits of meditation for grief, and then we'll do our meditation together. So some of the benefits of meditation for you and your children. So meditation can be for anyone. I've taught children meditation. They love it. There's so many kinds of meditation out there. There's guided meditations. There's meditations that are very visual. I tend to like the more kind of embellished meditations, but other people like them very simple and straightforward. These days you can access meditations just about on any platform. You can Google it, you can look it up anywhere you want, and you can find meditations to follow. You can do a meditation with your children. It doesn't have to be very long. It can be short, and really to benefit all of you. We were doing them pretty much on a regular basis, even if it was only a few minutes an evening together. It was the way that we kind of released and helped us. It helped us a little bit to settle into the nighttime together, and just kind of like be in the here and now and grateful for the connections that we have with each other and the love that we share, the four of us. So we were able to really hone in on all that we have by being present and doing meditation. So reducing physical and emotional pain, cultivating compassion for yourself and others, just really slowing down. I think the biggest lesson I learned from grief is that I needed to slow down. Always been a doer, always been very busy, always had 10 projects going. I still do. I can't lie. Lots of projects going on at the same time. Even multiple books, like that's just my nature. I understand. And we tend to live in a very busy world where there's lots happening all the time. And we have to choose, what we're going to focus on. And grief brought me back to my family, back to what's most important, back to the attention of slowing down, and that, there's really no rush for anything. There really isn't. Just be here now. Take it moment by moment together, and things will, as you make choices that feel right for you, things will start to go in a way that feels right for you, and things will start to transform. But moment by moment, increases immune function, starts to help us feel better overall, ability to focus and concentrate. That's something that really goes out the window in the beginning and I still have moments like that, even years later, where I feel loss of focus. And so when I feel that way, I say, okay, it's time. I need to meditate, even for a few minutes, and then it kind of brings me back, like, okay, I can do this. All of the, racing thoughts in my head, and the anxious breath or whatever it might be really makes a difference for me, and hopefully for you as well. So over time, meditation helps to rewire your brain. So we know there's lots of research on meditation at this point on how it can affect our bodies and our minds. So it can actually help us to shift our thought patterns. So with traumatic grief, with any kind of grief that we've had, thoughts for a long time that kind of repeat, we almost kind of get in this obsessive loop about the stories behind our loss and what it meant and how it affected us. And some of those thoughts are not serving us. They're not helping us to move into the next part of our life, into the next step into our journey. Certainly we can learn from those thoughts, but if our mind is feeling very negative, if it's feeling stuck in this place, then over time, we can start to develop a new way of thinking, a new mindset around this, a new way of saying, well, this is an opportunity for me to be able to do this. This is a gift that I bring to others because I had this experience. This is a chance for me to teach my kids how to best live their life in the fullest possible way, to feel empowered by their life, not to feel helpless any longer. So that meditation over time can really benefit us in that way. It's a practice. It's a practice. So people say, I can't meditate. I can't sit and do that. No way, no how, It doesn't have to look like an hour of 60 minutes of silence, or 60, yeah, same thing, right? Doesn't have to look like an hour of silence. Meditation can be mindful movement in our day. It could be really just being present in our play with our child, and really being in that, if they're so young that you're not going to be actually meditating with them, right? There's an opportunity to have a meditative type time with them where you're really breathing, you're being patient with yourself, you're having compassion for yourself, and you're just being present. So just a reminder to really be, patient and not judging yourself in how you go about meditating, if that word feels a little overwhelming to you. So with that, we're going to do about a few minutes of meditation, about 10 minutes, I think we'll do. Meditation for grief. And I invite you to have paper and pen nearby. This is with meditation, we can also link that to our own transformational journey and our own healing. So it's an opportunity to put your thoughts down on the page, what might come up for you, what you might be feeling after. Maybe you want to write down now how you're feeling. And then you can also reflect, at the end of the meditation, you can say, this is how I'm feeling, and just see if it's any different, no expectations, just really allowing it to be what it is, right? And try not to focus so much on the particular thoughts that come up, but just how you're feeling in your body as you go through it. And if you feel overwhelmed by it at any point, I invite you to take a break. You can open your eyes. You can walk around the room. There are no rules. There really aren't. So it's really what serves you in this moment. Meditation for grief. So with that, we'll begin. I'm going to turn on a little bit of music for us.
Music, please. Licensing issues. No music, please.
No music? Oh, it'll cause interference? Okay, no problem.
Issues.
Okay, no problem. So we'll skip that. So if you have music in your home, you can listen to that while I walk you through this So this is a guided meditation. So I'll be walking you through it. It's not going to be completely silent. Of course, I wouldn't have you just sit here with me. So I invite you to find a comfortable space. So just like when we began, you're going to arrive, you're going to be present. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, that's fine, but you don't need to. You can lie down if you really like to get comfortable. I don't know where you are in the world. Maybe this is nighttime and you'd like to just kind of drift off to sleep afterwards. So find a comfortable space and just begin to really breathe deeply. You'll notice all kinds of thoughts coming in your head. Just observe the thoughts without judgment. Really try to just let them pass through you. Acknowledge them and let them move on. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. One more time, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Settling into your seat. Settling in, feeling your feet on the ground if you're seated, or your back on the floor, or your couch, or your bed. Nice, slow, deep breaths. Exhaling completely the next time. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling out all the way until there's nothing left. Being here now with me. I'm going to start with your full body. Just really visualize in your head your body in space, wherever you are right now. Just begin to notice any bodily sensations you have. What are you feeling? I'll give some suggestions, but please feel free to choose your own. Spacey, tight, hollow, full, dull, squirmy. Maybe one of those sounds right to you, or maybe it doesn't at all. Just feel. What is your body saying to you right now? Feeling your feet and your hips and your shoulders and the back of your skull, all the way up to the tip of the top of your head. Just being here now with me in this safe space, allowing yourself to pause. If your mind starts to drift, bring it back to your breath. For my children, I introduce the wave for the breath. So if you would like the visual of a wave moving through you, you can have this beautiful, warm wave flowing through you. As you inhale, the building crest of the wave, and then the exhale, crashing down on the shore. And focus on those waves if you like. Bringing your attention to your heart, the middle of your chest, the middle of your body, your heart center. Simply feel the heart holding your grief, holding any loss that you've had, holding it close to you with warmth and love. The space is raw and tender, but it's also beautifully loving and vulnerable. There's so much strength within your heart, the capacity to heal your heart. Sit with your heart for a moment. Place a hand on your heart if you like. Simply be connected with your heart. Coming back to your breath. If you feel emotions welling up inside of you, just let them roll through you like the waves. It's all okay. Notice where you're holding tension. Do you have tension in your throat? Tension in your heart? Tension in your stomach? Do you feel a tightness there? Do you feel an achiness? It's often common to experience some tightness in our throat. We hold a lot in our throats. Grief often rests there. I described earlier in the session about this welling up of tears. Right? Often we feel like there's this stuckness inside of us. It's like the love trying to get out, right? And then it evokes this feeling that comes out as beautiful tears. It's just coming through our bodies. It's moving through us. So let it move through you. Be here now with me. What is your body telling you? What is your beautiful human form telling you about your experience with grief? What emotions are arising for you? What are you feeling in your body? You may be feeling some anger. You might be feeling sadness. You might be feeling calm. Keep going. Your body knows there's this deep inner wisdom that each of us holds. Trust yourself in this moment now, or at least trust me to guide you through this. This is a practice. Just keep going, keep breathing. Try not to judge yourself. Feel whatever you need to feel at this moment. When it gets to be too much, take a break. Let yourself rest. Then come back to your breath again. And then we can resettle. Trusting that you're here now in this space with us. All of us have gone through at one time or another a loss, a difficult experience, a life transition, a change that has brought us grief. We are all in this together. Keep breathing. Then resettle yourself. Bring to mind for a moment the loss that you've experienced and the changes that have happened in your life because of this loss. Let it teach you. Reflect on your grief. There are so many ways that our grief connects us to others. This is a way that we can begin to heal by acknowledging the gifts of this experience, the lessons, and how it brings us closer to others in our life. If we can become aware of this ebb and flow, this change that happens in our life, that it's inevitable. These are the things that are about being human. Love and loss and change. It's always happening. We need to learn to ride the waves. So open your heart to the possibility of healing, of liberating your love, and truly being compassionate. Through this difficult journey of loss, we can walk feeling that we've learned and that we can move through with a vulnerable, tender heart. And it's all okay that we're here together, living and learning and growing. Each of us is on our own journey together. With loss, we have a deeper love and appreciation for life. Bringing your attention back again to your heart. Feeling the waves of breath. Noticing how you feel. Placing a hand perhaps somewhere on your body where you need a little extra comfort at this moment. even just nearby, your low back, your chest, your leg. You are here now, safe in this space. We're going to begin to come back together. So I invite you to take maybe one more deep breath, giving yourself permission to allow the healing to move through you. Allow the transformation of your grief to occur. And being surrounded in the love that we have here right now. So we're going to open our eyes if you have your eyes closed. And just reflect for a minute and write down what you learned, or something that came up, or a feeling that you felt, just so you can remember how you felt after doing this meditation together today. Anything at all, whatever comes to mind. I know from experience and early in my grief that writing my reflections, even if they felt like nothing very important, that later on it was important for me to write these things down. Just the bits and pieces that are maybe hard to write later can be helpful. With that, we're going to do one more thing: mind, body, heart, soul care for yourself and your family. So we touched upon most of these, but I just want to do a quick review as we finish up for today about being gentle and patient with yourself, making choices that serve you and your family. Do you need time to grieve, time to be with your family, or time alone? Planning ahead for things, especially the difficult, what you expect might be a difficult time, a holiday, a celebration of some kind, a time alone for some might be difficult. So planning those moments ahead and trying to create space for them in the way that feels right for you, creating something new. Approaching a growth mindset that there's potential for growing through this experience. Mindfulness and meditation can be helpful and maybe something for you to explore. Writing cards, letters to your loved one or someone else. Perhaps it's the person that you lost. This can be very healing. Journaling for yourself, writing poetry. Dance, movement, and yoga. Music, a way to listen, either listening to music or creating music if you're a musician, or just someone who likes to play the piano. Allowing the tears to flow and recognizing that this can be very cleansing for us. It's our body's way of naturally cleansing, moving things through. Crying is something that really can help us move forward in our healing and help us to transform our emotions. So taking an opportunity to do that whenever it feels right for you. So I thank you all for joining me here today. It was fantastic to be part of this, both on a larger scale and also with my guests here in the audience. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. You can reach me, Jenny Baltazar, at wildblossomcoaching.com. That's the name of my business. I do coaching one-on-one around grief and other major life transitions. It doesn't necessarily have to be grief. It can be something that you're going through that is a change of job or a divorce or a change of relationship. And I offer support for several months at a time to be able to help you on that journey and look at this body-mind connection and how you can be able to transform from one place where you are to the next place, to really embody where you'd like to be and to be able to heal and to be able to dream and look at all the potential in your life. Workshops, lots of workshops that I offer. You can reach out to me and I'm happy to share both on grief and other topics that I cover, parenting, and I'd love to have an opportunity to share those with you. And speaking engagements, I'm available to do that as well. Thank you so much, everyone. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And have a beautiful day.